He comes and goes on a rainbow. He leads the celebrity field in March Madness. How about it for Michael Snyder, everyone? Wow.
Hey, good morning. Happy Friday to all. Well, speaking of sports, my home team was shut out on opening day.
It's worse than that.
Open, yet shut. They're seriously unclear on the concept, guys.
Well, you could have had, playing for the Giants, isn't it right, Commissioner? You could have had
so
Aaron
the guy
Judge.
we've been trying to get all offseason, Aaron Judge, we didn't get him. He's the hometown kid. It hits the home run off of us to start the season. Very poetic.
First at bat, and Judge, the one that got away, sends one over the wall. You know, Saturday and Redemption can't get here fast enough. I'm really kind of peeved that we're not playing a game today, but so be it. I've been thinking about John Wick.
Oh yeah, you like John Wick.
I did.
Although it's an orchestra of violence. You said.
It is an amazing and entertaining slaughter fest. and I can't wait for the next installment wherein the master assassin of the title develops sorceress powers. It's titled John Wicken. I think it's going to be exciting.
Oh, that's good. Well, it's a working title.
Hey, you want to talk some movies, buddy?
I'd like to,
Michael,
friend.
did you see? I saw that John Wick only said 380 words in that whole movie, and they calculated it as $39,000 per word.
Well, that's fantastic, and they killed 194 people minimum. We didn't get an exact count,
That's
even
right.
with our clicker. So.
If you missed it, they went in, Michael and his friend, and they actually went in with one of those clickers that, you click every time somebody goes through a turnstile or goes through the door. It's like at nightclubs and stuff. And they clicked every time somebody was killed on screen. It was almost 200.
194, and it could have been more. Okay, so let's get to reviews.
Go.
The first new movie we're going to talk about was already banned in Tennessee, as you might guess from the title, Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Wow.
Wow. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Sorry, it's actually Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, thank you. I bought the first one. Yeah.
Honor Among Thieves. It's based on the classic sword and sorcery themed role playing game created in the mid 1970s. So, my bad. I'm sorry. Anyway, Dungeons and Dragons.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Dungeons and Dragons has inspired a new feature film despite the relative failure of 3 previous D&D themed movies that comprised a loose trilogy starting in 2000. There was a movie and here's the cast. I mean, Jeremy Irons, Thora Birch, Marlon Wayans, bomb. Then there was a made-for-TV movie with low impact, with a lot of unknowns, and a direct-to-video non-entity. So this could be perceived as downward trend, right? It doesn't seem.
Why do they keep making them? They never make money.
IP, and so Paramount
they
teamed
own
up
it and they want to do something with it.
Paramount teamed up with Hasbro, and they said this is the time to do this. And we have a new standalone movie with some big name cast members and spiffy special effects. And let me just say that Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, which by the way is co-directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, not to be confused with John Daly, is better than it has any right to be. The actors are nimble and charismatic. The dialogue is kind of tongue-in-cheek. The setups are creative, and the visuals are over the top in a fun way. And it helps to have the Rye leading man, Chris Pine, at the helm.
Hunky Chris Pine.
This guy has played James T. Kirk in the Star Trek movies, Wonder Woman's boyfriend Steve Trevor, and CIA agent Jack Ryan. So he's front and center here as Edgin Darvis, a noble do-gooder, and get this, troubadour. This guy runs around with a lute. I'm thinking to myself, what kind of weapon is that? Anyway, his wife, sadly, is killed by enemies, so he turns to thievery in order to support his now motherless daughter, Kira. So, desperate widower, right, decides to filch a magical tablet that could resurrect his late spouse. I mean, he has reasons, right? He teams up with comrade-in-arms and barbarian warrior woman Holga, Michelle Rodriguez, tough as nails here. A fledgling sorcerer, Simon, played by the boyishly goofy Justice Smith, and the glib scoundrel Forge, a rakish Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant, what a career revival he's having right now.
I'll ding rakish. Go ahead.
Anyway,
yes.
During the caper to get the tablet, Edgin and Holga are captured by the authorities and imprisoned, separated from his daughter, still determined to bring his wife back to life. Edgin needs to escape, gather up allies, reunite with Kira, and find the talisman. So Pine's charm helps make this Dungeons and Dragons palatable, but it's Grant.
I'll ding palatable. Go ahead.
Grant reviving his career with a series of similarly rascally roles who steals the show, with Pine as the linchpin and Grant as the MVP. The cast is also enhanced by the presence of, get ready, Mark, one of your heartthrobs, the dazzlingly handsome Regé-Jean Page of Bridgerton fame.
Yes.
He's still my beating heart. Here he plays a chivalrous knight who makes Edgen and his band safe during a moment of crisis.
Wow.
Feels great, baby.
All right.
With all the dragons spitting fire in recent movies and TV shows, the timing feels right for this. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. I enjoyed it, and you might too.
Wow.
It's in theaters.
Wow. That review went a different direction than I thought it was going to go.
Well, I was expecting tedium.
Not to like it,
and I had a great time. Okay, here's a better movie, and wow, it's still a game theme, despite getting its title from a well-known computer game and purporting to tell the story of this game's development and its rise to global popularity. Tetris does not concern a bunch of nerds dealing with computer trial and error in a garage and then catapulting to wealth after nailing down and releasing the finished product.
That's not what it's about?
That is not what it's about.
That's totally what I thought it was about.
So did I. Tetris is directed by John S. Baird, who's made a couple films I dig, Filth and Stan and Ollie, the biopic about Laurel and Hardy.
That was very good.
And he has done a mix of boardroom intrigue, Cold War espionage, and dark humor based on the true events surrounding the acquisition of what would become one of the most famous video games of all time amid the growth of digital tech and computer gaming, and get this, the collapse of the Soviet Union. So, though it has a bunch of very droll and delightful moments, it's got shards of like genuine tension straight out of a well-made spy thriller.
Wow, look at you. I'll get droll, I will ding. Shards, I will ding.
Okay, so Taron Egerton, who is really charming as Eggsy in the Kingsman movies. He played Elton John in the acclaimed biopic Rocket Man. He plays Dutch-born American entrepreneur Hank Rogers, happily married to a Japanese woman who co-manages his floundering video game acquisition and development business in Tokyo and is the mother of his two young kids. At a trade show, Rogers sees someone playing a console game called Tetris, inquires about its availability, and decides he wants to license it as a cartridge and arcade game. Unfortunately, he learns that it was created by an engineer in the Soviet Union. Its rights were snatched up by a fussy, petty banker, and he's not so much a banker, I guess you'd call him a broker, but he's played by the always spot-on British character actor Toby Jones, and that the distribution is controlled in most regions by a nasty pig of an English media mogul and his conniving son. But Rogers discovers he might be able to license Tetris for Nintendo in Japan and worldwide for Nintendo's newly developed handheld devices. It looks like the motherlode, and the contracts giving the media mogul dominion over the game are not as ironclad as everyone thinks. So this is the bold move. Rogers goes behind what was still the Iron Curtain in the USSR, while everybody around him says, don't do it. He wants to get communist officials and the game's creator to license it to him. I was like, are you kidding? Wow. This is how Tetris got to the world?
What? And this is a true story.
It is a true story.
Wow.
As the movie rolls, there are twists and turns enhanced by like cool retro 8-bit style animated interstitials, and there's like a bleep bloop score fitting the era.
Oh, I see, right. Fitting the
Tetris is a really nifty behind-the-scenes look at what I initially thought would be a dull retelling of like techie triumph in Silicon Valley. No, it's actually a blast. And,
wow. How about that? I'll ding interstitials. Yeah, go ahead.
And the screenwriter Noah Pink and Baird keep all the plates spinning and deliver a coherent, witty tale of one determined man's quest. And you don't need to be a gamer or computer geek to dig Tetris, the movie. It's in theaters and now available for streaming on Apple TV+. So
that's where I've seen the trailers on Apple TV, yeah.
You can watch it at home. Okay, let's get into a couple things I really love.
You want coherent? I don't know if coherent. You
no,
really want to ding
come
that?
on, please join us with a richer vocabulary, people.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ding coherent. I'll leave it to you. If enough people want it, I'll ding it. Go ahead.
One of the best movies I've ever seen this year, 1001, is an impressive first feature from screenwriter-director A.V. Rockwell. It's an inner-city family drama concerning Inez, a young black woman who emerges from Rikers Island prison in early 1990s New York City after serving her sentence, heads to Harlem, her home turf, and immediately seeks out 6-year-old Terry, who was a boy taken from her by Child Services when she was incarcerated. So she manages to bring Terry back into her life and resume mothering him, essentially kidnapping the kid despite him being registered in the foster care system. So Inez was a hairdresser before bad choices derailed her life, and her devotion to Terry compels her to find work. And soon she takes up with a local Studley type and tries to create a stable family situation and raise the little guy properly. As Terry grows up over the course of a decade or so, the truth of Inez's past may derail her plan despite all her intentions. This is very moving, very powerful stuff, steeped in gritty realism, graced with a bold, believable performance by actress and singer Tiana Taylor. She is a dynamo who deserves every accolade. The entire cast is first-rate, including the 3 young actors who played Terry at different ages. And meanwhile, the backdrop of gentrifying New York, Rudy Giuliani's campaign to clean up the city, is in full swing at this point, begins to marginalize financially strapped members of the Black and Hispanic community, and it's impactful and heart-wrenching, as you might expect, and there are no false notes. 1001 is emotionally draining yet uplifting, highly recommended, and in theaters.
Geez, after last week, you recommended the other emotional movie with the 2 African kids.
Oh, yeah, Lokita and Tori and Lokita.
Oh, my God. I mean, I don't know if I have I don't know how much emotion I have in me.
Wait. Ready for a rom-com? I got a rom-com.
Yeah, because I'm not going to cry.
Okay.
I feel, though, that some of this emotional stuff
You're in a weeping mood.
I'm an emotional person. So.
I know. So how about something that's fresh, funny, and sweet?
Rom-com, do it.
Okay, Rye Lane is like kind of a hipper modern version of the meet-cute British rom-com. Like Notting Hill. In fact, Rye Lane, and that's R-Y-E, like the grass that produces the grain for the bread on a good corned beef sandwich, is a destination in London like Notting Hill, but totally 21st century, colorful, multicultural, funky, and hella more working class than the looks of it on screen might even suggest, and certainly more so than today's upscale Notting Hill. So with this backdrop, we get a sort of When Dom Met Yaz playing out, mostly over the course of one day, which is kind of collapsed into a very tidy 80 minutes. So it's not a big time investment. Dom, played by David Johnson, and Yaz, played by Vivian Opera, are a pair of Black Londoners in their 20s who have had to deal with recent brutal breakups. They initially encounter one another at an art opening where he's friends with the artist and she's friends with the artist's significant other. And circumstances lead Dom and Yaz to go off together on a series of vivid urban adventures and misadventures, including encounters with the exes. But is there any way the jilted couple can bring themselves to leap back into relationships? That's the big question here. There's not a wasted moment in Rye Lane. Tidily directed by Rain Allen Miller, nothing is affected, flashy, or artificial, and Johnson and Opera make for a winning combo. My suggestion to you, Mark, visit Rye Lane if you can. Light, lively, and legit charming, and on Hulu.
Wow, like it. Good. I may check it out. I need something light, lively, and legit charming,
Cool. You had a buddy of mine on the show a little while ago, Matthew Jacobs, and his movie, Doctor Who Am I? The documentary
terrific.
About his experiences as the screenwriter of the abortive, it came out, the TV movie that was supposed to link the old era of Doctor Who, a big BBC flagship show that ran from about 63 to the early 80s, late 70s, about like then, to what we now have as a worldwide phenomenon since 2005. And
the idea was Fox acquired the rights and they'd bring this franchise to the U.S. and it would explode in this new way. And this is the guy who wrote the movie for television that was going to explode it.
Right. It starred Paul McGann, a real charmer, a British actor who was in With Nail and I. He gives a wonderful, romantic performance as the Doctor, but certain little glitches in the backstory that were kind of embedded into this script angered fans for some reason. And despite the charm of Paul McGann and the skill of Matthew Jacobs to write this lovely thing. And Matthew worked for Lucasfilms. He wrote, he was part of the writing staff on Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. He created The Emperor's New Groove for Disney. He's no slouch, Matthew. He became vilified by the fan base. And this movie is about him reconnecting with the fan base when he's invited to a convention, and he goes in with trepidation and cameras and his co-director, Vanessa Ewell. And it's a wonderful kind of love fest that develops over time.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I really enjoyed it.
And by the way, Matthew and I used to hang out at the Royal Ground when he lived up on Russian
look
Hill.
At you.
And
that had to be because you're a big Doctor Who guy.
I am. When I realized he was the guy who wrote the Doctor Who movie, I said, yes, I do want to be your friend. No. We were already kind of buddies, and, a clever, charming British guy.
Vilified, I will ding. Trepidation, I will ding. And jilted, I will ding.
In any event, this is the culmination of Jacob's life-altering leap into a potentially hostile community, and it's a thoroughly gratifying journey for everybody. Doctor Who Am I is available for purchase or streaming on demand now via Amazon Prime, iTunes, Vudu, and the usual suspects. And he and Vanessa do a lovely job. And you get to meet Paul McGann and other people who show up as this TV movie becomes reevaluated in the wake of this exploding global franchise that is now, part and parcel of pop culture tapestry worldwide.
Oh, my God, yes. I mean, Doctor Who is massive. I have to wrap you up. I'm
sure.
sorry.
No,
We're
no,
kind
no.
of at the end of things. But you got some good...
we're good.
I felt we got some good information. And Doctor Who Am I, for all the reasons that you just heard, is really worth checking out. It's streamable and in theaters, or what is the story on it?
It has shown up in a couple theaters. It had its California theatrical premiere at the Los Feliz in L.A. About a week or two ago. And you can get it online, via video on demand. You can purchase it as a DVD. There are Who fans that are going to just eat this up.
So Doctor Who Am I, Google it, find it. It's out there.
Amazon Prime and iTunes.
Oh, Amazon Prime and iTunes,
yeah.
Okay. Rye Lane, the hipper version of the British rom-com, Dom and Yaz, and their doming and yazzing, I guess. There's
no
Hulu.
doming here.
All right.
That's another thing entirely.
1001, out of prison, reunited with her daughter. It's a
son.
Son.
Or is it?
1001 is a gritty, moving, emotional journey. It is in theaters and also streamable.
No, it's not streamable yet. It is in theaters, but support a movie this good if you can, people.
Okay, so check out 1001 in theaters. Tetris is the true story, and it involves Russians and I guess spycraft of one sort or another.
To an extent.
It's really quite intriguing.
And boardroom machinations.
Wow, machination should be a ding. Do we have dingable? There
and available on Apple TV Plus as well as
the theaters. And then finally, Dungeons & Dragons, another iteration. This is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Surprisingly good, says Michael Snyder. I could just see that on the poster. Yeah, surprisingly good, says Culture Blaster.
Hey, come on. And let's give a shout out to Hugh Grant, who was, of course, in the quintessential rom-com Notting Hill.
Oh,
is also in this.
And Four Weddings and a Funeral is rom-comish in a weird sense also. So he had...
the stammering is so lovable.
He does have that, the school of... like Shatner does the pause, he does, for his generation, the stammering. Michael, congratulations on leading the celebrity field in Mark's Madness.
Now, I can't believe it!
There it
Mark's
is.
Madness!
Wait till I get my own drop, and next year I'm going to kick some serious butt, let me tell you. But glad to be a part of it, and let's keep on rocking, everybody. We'll check you out next week.
Yes, Snyder, again, he is top of the leaderboard, ahead of Daly, Thompson, the Commish, Shore, Avila, Spencer Christian, and Brett Burkhardt, who does join on Monday. So he comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael. Bye-bye, Michael.
Go Giants!